Hey Adrian, yeah, obviously they're not my injuries, but I'm super frustrated for you going through this. I've had my fair share of injuries as well, and I know it's a fucking ball ache. Um, you know, changing like a really kind of impacting like going to the gym, which is obviously super important to you. I do get it, so I share your frustration. Um, I think yeah, so this is a fine addition to make. I would do a bit of this maybe anyway. If this kind of like if you're limited in this kind of external rotation, it does sort of does point to this other issue where um, that we've been talking about for a little while, where effectively your hips are kind of doing this. So your where your femurs are pushed into your hips, it's kind of like they're pushed forwards in the hip socket. So they would, if you had like say one of them here, it would need to go into internal rotation. It would need to rotate back in the socket, right? And so if it's really stuck far forwards, it can't do that. Um, that will give you some kind of internal rotation, but also it might limit your external rotation from that position as well because you're already in this externally rotated position. Um, so this won't be a problem to add, but it might not really fix the issue. It might allow you to train, um, but it's sort of like not fixing the underlying root cause of what's going on. It might fix some like surface level ability to train temporarily, if that makes sense. Like give you that external rotation that you might need to like get in between your legs, get your hips out of the way as you kind of frame it. So it's fine, but we do need to fix what else is going on. Um, yeah, I think so for the rest of this block, I think rather than swap out the overhead press for something else, given that this has become another like injurious thing, I think we just delete it as you say, but I'm not going to replace it with something else. Just like ignore it in the program. What I would say as well is if you have a benching day when you can't bench, like with your arch, don't try to bench flat back. That is a recipe for disaster. Um, I think like if you like hypothetically if you could manage to do something like a Larson press, um, like with some kind of reduced arch, then that would be okay. But even then, I would kind of not bother. I would just do some kind of like dumbbell pressing instead, like some kind of like RP7, like a couple, like two sets, like not much, just to kind of make sure you're ticking over with some kind of pressing mechanics. Um, yeah, but other than that, I think like we are either you need to find a good physio where you are, or you need to come and see me and we'll sort something out for a couple of hours. Um, yeah, but we should really find one of those two solutions, basically. All right, let me just get into the videos then. But yeah, it's sad, right? Because it does look like strength wise, your bench has actually looked pretty good, even with this like slightly disrupted training. Like, so you're obviously really close to a PB. Just need to kind of keep you healthy. Yeah, I mean, this isn't. The lighting here is really awful for this angle, but this is like exacerbating this like Donald Trumpy type position, right? Um, so all of this movement here is all of this kind of like extensions just coming from your lower back. You're not able to get extension from your thoracic and from like your rib cage, right? Um, and it's maybe you're just used to wearing a belt when you do overhead press. I think this is a red flag, to be honest. Maybe it's like not for you, but if you're getting if you feel like you need some kind of like lumbar support when you're doing something like this, it's like something's going a bit wrong. But equally, I'm sorry that you can't do this exercise because you have enjoyed it previously and it was a fun one for you. But yeah, if it hurts, it hurts. And I think there's an argument as well, right? Like, I mean, look how extreme this position is for you. Um, You know, like this is the end of the set, so it's going to be the most extreme it is. But it's like that's almost not exaggerated. I mean, that's quite exaggerated. Like, let me just be a little bit more realistic. Like that, right? That's in fact more than that. Kind of like this. You know, in fact, even more than that. I'm now underplaying it because I felt guilty. But it's sort of like this, right? Yeah, that's quite a lot of extension purely localized to your low back. So I am not surprised that your low back felt stiff and all kind of fucked up for your bench. What I was going to say was, I think there's an argument here for saying that this shape would happen in your back no matter how much weight you put on the bar. You know, I don't think there's any kind of like, so, you know, like we had with dips, there was a kind of this framework where maybe we could make it not hurt you if we were just gentle and on ramped kind of slowly. I don't think that's so possible with this. I mean, obviously you didn't take this super low RPE, but I don't think this is crazy high either. So I kind of agree. I think this is for the bin, unfortunately. Even here, like, you look a bit more extended, actually, somehow. You almost, maybe you're cueing this yourself, you're cueing a bit of like chest up, perhaps. I'm not sure. But this looks extended to me compared to what it has done previously. Yeah, you're not really having this like nice ribs down bracing pattern. Like, you're very kind of protracted ribs here. So whether or not, if this was a cue, don't do this. If it's not a cue, it's interesting that it's emerged. But I would suggest, you know, somehow ties in with the overhead press, and probably also ties in with what's happened to your ability to arch as well, right, on your bench. But yeah, just to reiterate, don't make any compromises to your bench technique. You know, just to allow you to get some training in. Like, you know, if you're having to be flat back and it's upsetting your shoulders, just don't do it. It's not worth it. Yeah, again, these look kind of okay. Obviously, we are seeing this bit of collapse, particularly on this right foot. I think this is maybe worse, actually, than it was last week. I'm pretty sure it is worse. Yeah, I mean, I think this will be interesting to see how good or bad these look this week, actually. Yeah, this looks a little bit worse. Yeah, this is, you know, really just kind of classic mechanics for somebody who can't get that kind of relative motion through your pelvis and can't get your femur to translate into the right position in your hip. And then I'll take a look at the RDLs as well. Okay. It's actually maybe a tiny bit better. But yeah, like, so what we should see, just to kind of, for your context, is that, like, you should be able to have your lower back effectively extend as you're doing a hinge, right? And then kind of like to extend extend reality here, obviously isn't real, but then your tailbone should come up here like this. Instead, your tailbone is kind of stuck like that, right? So this is kind of like a squatty position to end up being in with your tailbone, but we need you to be in this kind of like hingy position with your tailbone, but you don't seem to have access to this. And this can literally just be because all of the, like, you know, ligaments, tendons, muscles, etc. in this like posterior hip space are just really, really tight, and you know, doing all kinds of stuff, restricting the movement of your hips, tailbone, and your femurs as well. So yeah, I think this is all fixable, right? But you just need to probably spend some time in person with someone. I think I appreciate you're working hard with the drills, but it's hard to, even if you send me videos of the drills, it's hard to be certain that you're doing them properly, right? There's little bits of nuance that really make or break the efficacy of the drills, and it is just way better to have done them in person, particularly if you've been doing them on your own for a while. Obviously you can get this drift of you stop paying attention to all of the minute details. You'll have some kind of shortcut version of what you think you should be doing, and even the bits where you're trying to pay attention, that might not be the useful bits in terms of correcting the problem. So it's complicated. But I think let me know what you think about either investigating or reading a physio. If you want to find somebody else, that's completely fine. But we can perhaps have a chat about who that would be that I think I would trust. If you sent me an Instagram or something of them, so that I can kind of investigate a little bit. But yeah, anyway, Adrian, let me know what you think, and other than that, I will see you next week.